Lead us in prayer.
Thanks for coming back. Father God, thank you for this day. Thank you for giving us the privilege to join together to look at things in our wonderful city. Help us have the wisdom to find the right path and the courage to do the right thing. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman Fox. This meeting was called for two purposes and to cover any other business with the water department. One of the things I did was requested an updated budget report from our city treasurer and Mayor Stewart, which they have provided us with. And that budget report is as of 5/31. I also requested the 2020 budget as well as the 2020 actual year-end figures to give us an idea of what our expenditures will be at the end of the fiscal year, which is September 30th of 2021. I also asked for an update on our capital bidding process. We approved this capital budget. I believe it was back in February or March. I forget which month it was, but I was asking for an update on that. And so I'm now going to turn it over to, before I do that, we do have to approve our Water Committee meeting minutes from May the 5th. And I have sent the amended minutes to Councilman Box, so council, and as well as our council members, and our city clerk, as well as our city attorney. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah, I make a motion we approve the minutes of the Water Committee meeting of May 5th, 2021 as amended.
And since we don't have another committee member, I will second that. All in favor?
I.
Okay. Motion carries. Now, I will turn this over to, Mayor Stewart stepped out for a minute, so I'm going to call on our water utilities supervisor, Mr. Morris, to give us some updates.
Yes, I just needed to get some water for the drainage that I'm having in the back of my throat. But I want to say good evening to everyone. We're delighted to have this moment to be able to just share with you what's going on in the water department. After this meeting, we will send you the budget to actual reports. Although we don't have a budget, there was a proposed budget. So I did ask Lou to be able to upload that information, or I think I uploaded that information into the system just to give us an idea of what it would be. We're going to start this month in preparing for September or October 2022. We may get very bold and actually do a multi-year budget versus doing a single-year budget, so at least we'll have an idea about what's going on. If we do 2 years, and it doesn't mean that it's anything that you have to, that's etched in stone that says that you have to do it. But I know that when you go to the rating agencies, that's one of the questions that they always ask: do you have a multi-year budget? And the second thing that they want to know, do you have a capital improvement plan? And what's the time span for that plan, which they prefer that it's 5 years, so that they will know that you are doing some strategic planning and that you're not just dealing with things as they pop up on the scene, but you're really planning and trying to do the best that you can to be able to mitigate the risk so that you're not caught behind the 8 ball, always trying to react to things instead of being proactive in the process. So there are four things that I want to talk to you about tonight, or to give you an update on. I'm going to go through the budget report through June the 30th, 2021. I'm going to talk about our bank balances for the water department, number 2. Number 3, I'm going to give an update on the capital projects. And number 4, I'm going to talk about performing a rate stabilization study. The last time we had this study performed was in 2014. When the city adopted this study, they actually approved 3 years for the rate study, so you didn't have to come back every year to be able to vote on an increase or decrease. But 2016 was the last time, which means that 6 years ago was the last time that there was an increase. And when we did the study during that time, we were already 40 to 50% behind what the charges should have been at that time. So those are the 4 things that I want to talk to you about tonight. Then if you have any questions, or feel free as I'm talking through some of these issues, that you can ask me questions as we're flowing along. We actually have about 20 minutes to be able to finish this up. So the first thing I want to do is to, now I apologize for not having the paperwork in front of you all to be able to go through it, which I'm not going to go through it line by line. But if you do have any questions when we send you the report about any line item, if you would just send Lou the main email, and if you would CC me on it, we'll be sure to be able to get back to you as soon as possible once we can find the answers to your questions. But if you look at the water department from June the 30th, 2021, we're in the month of July, so all of the financials or the information I believe is in for the month of June. Through June, the revenue for the water department is $1,668,665.56. The expenses are $964,476.46, which means that there is a surplus of $704,189.10. And these are the actual figures through June. The proposed budget that we would have presented to the council during this fiscal year would have had the revenue projected at $2,406,500, and the expenses would have been $2,147,144, with a projected surplus of $259,356. Therefore, if you were thinking about budget to actual, the actual is actually higher than the budgeted amount, which you want your actuals to be higher than your budgeted amounts, because your budgeted amounts is just projections. Those are just hypothetical guess that you make based on the information that you may have had from prior years, and you try to identify what adjustments in the current fiscal year you would have to make to be able to make those numbers work. So at the present time, the water department has a surplus of $704,189.10. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I missed the part where you said what the proposed projected surplus would be. How much would that be?
It would be $259,356. Through June, we only need to collect 30.66% to be able to hit our revenue goal. And our current expenses remaining is 55.8%. So we've made it 9 months through the fiscal year, or 3/4 through the fiscal year, because we only have July, August, and September. So we've done a pretty good job of controlling the expenses. And this report is, and these numbers are only good from today when I printed this report, because there may be some other adjustments once we get into reconciling and booking some other things. Now, this may change, but I just want you to let everybody know this is what the report is on July 21st, 5:47. These numbers are only good during this time span. So, are there any other questions?
Yeah, I have one more, sir.
Okay.
Our debt, current debt that we have, we're showing at $312,300. And then we have the debt service interest of $195,686. How long will we be paying for this debt? When will it mature?
I do not have that in front of me, those series and when those series are supposed to mature.
Okay.
But do you have a question wanting to know those series that make up the interest and principal payments? When do those bonds mature?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Lou, did you take that down? Okay.
And I also noticed on the expenditures, we had water tank maintenance, which we haven't had any expenditures. And I'm looking at the 531 report. Are we going to be having expenditures? Do you foresee, because we haven't had any yet, do you foresee tapping into that 104,000?
That's actually a contract that we have on all 4 water tanks.
Okay.
I know that we appropriate $104,000 every year, even if we do not have any work done, because that's the way that they set up the payments to be able to fulfill the work that has to be done over a 10-year period. But I will defer to Jared at this time if he has some other insight to that
I think
question.
we paid it last week.
Okay.
I think that's when I had to email Lou to approve that packet.
Okay.
Last week, what or the week before?
If I may ask a question? Is those are the expenses that are in our council expense report tonight, right? I think there were 3 or 4 items that made up about 100,000.
This is an 105,000 expense.
I knew there was some water tank maintenance in our expenses tonight.
Yeah, that would be it.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And they're broken down into 4 contracts, so it's just, the sum is, I think, 105,000.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the second thing that we were going to discuss is how much money do we have in the bank? At the present time, in the water department's banking account, unrestricted funds are $2,383,246.50, and the restricted amount is $85,636.07, for a bank balance of $468,882.57. Are there any questions about the bank balances?
So we have the unrestricted, we have the restricted, and what is this third one that you just gave us?
No, there's restricted, unrestricted, which is the operation and maintenance checking account and the reserve. That amount is $2,383,246.50. The restricted amount is deposits that people pay when they get their water, when they first have their water turned on by the city. So that is a deposit account, and we can't touch that until people turn off their account, and then they're reimbursed for the deposit that they had to pay.
Okay.
But right now, that money is sitting in an account, and in that account is $85,636.07. So the total amount is $2,468,882.57. If there are not any questions, I'll move on to number 3, which is giving an update on capital projects. What we're doing at the present time about our capital projects is we are exploring the available finance opportunities that are out there to be able to bring this to fruition. We've been working with our finance team, which I will present those individuals on next Thursday at the work session. I can go ahead and give you a heads up of who are the individuals that are on that team, so everybody should be familiar with them. But Mac Underwood, who works with Terminus, and we actually adopted a contract with them to be the municipal financial advisors. Mac was the CEO for Birmingham Waterworks. He was also the chief finance director for the city of Birmingham. So he has an extensive background in dealing with municipalities as well as dealing with a water system, which we know the Birmingham water system is probably the largest water system in the state of Alabama. We also have Rod Cantor, who is bond counsel and who has been helping us in other areas, other projects that we've been working on. Rod is a bond counsel for Bradley. I would say that he's one of the top in his field. The last deal that he worked on is it Mazda? He worked on the Mazda deal that came to Huntsville. So Rod has worked on a lot of big deals. He's worked on a lot of smaller deals. Then we have Matt Adams with Raymond James, who we approved to be able to be the underwriter on the next finance deal that we do. Matt has been doing finance deals with the city since 2012 or 2013, whenever I became the city council. He's actually been the underwriter on all of the bonds for the city, and he's well respected in the field in what he does as well. And I'm trying to see, did I leave anybody off? Our auditors, which is BMSS, and we were here today going through a draft of the audit. We should be presenting that to you on August the 18th. But they will be here on Thursday as well. And then the last piece of that puzzle is Carr Riggs and Ingram, and they've been involved with the city with helping us to be able to close out the end of the month to make sure that everything that we are doing falls within the GASB guidelines as well as the GAP guidelines as well. As we know, governmental accounting is very complex. The city's not in a position to have a full-time CPA here to be able to deal with it. But we do have very competent people that are working with us to make sure that the city continues to be financially stable, that we adhere to all of the rules and the regulations that we're supposed to do up under the law. And I feel very comfortable with their knowledge and expertise that the city is in good hands. The reason I wanted you all to share that with you all, I didn't want you all to think that Lou and I was the smartest two in the bunch, and we were doing all of this on our own, but we actually lean on individuals that know exactly what they are doing, and we just try to glean from them and try to do the best that we can. So there are 2 capital projects that we have. The council has already adopted the $6.2 million capital budget for the city, but we have not moved forward because we haven't identified the funding source for that project. We are working on that and should be getting back with you very shortly to pitch some ideas and to be able to get some feedback to see how you would like to move forward with that. And the second project that we're working on is not capital, it is a capital X, but it's called Project X. And we are playing a part in being able to get the utilities to the site. I mean, one of the things, you gotta have water. We have a water department. So we're working with our engineers, we're working with Project X engineers, and we're trying to identify what is the most feasible way to be able to get water to that site. There are certain specs and regs that we have to meet. I would like to thank Jared for his hard work and everything that he's been doing on that project, working with the Project X team to be able to share with them what we have here at the city of Irondale. And also the city engineers, which is municipal consultants, have also been working closely with Jared and with Project X on identifying how we can be able to get water to that site. So are there any questions about what is going on in the capital area with the water department?
The only thing I have, Mayor, to go by is, I have the minutes from our Water Committee meeting that was held back in February, where we had the presentation on the estimated cost for the capital improvement plan for the water department. And that was sitting at close to the 6.2 million that you noted. And one of the things that you stated was that our current budget, and it's good to know that it's a little bit higher, was 2 million back then. And you also reported that our current bank balances were a little over 19 million in both restricted and unrestricted funds. And one of the things I asked you by email was, how much do we have in unrestricted funds? And you said that there are currently about 4,138,000 and change. So my question is, are we still at that level in unrestricted funds?
Well, that was actually on the general fund, and this is the water committee meeting,
Right.
so those are
Yes.
two different funds. So
That-
we're not talking about the general fund, we were talking about what was going on in the water department.
Right, but wouldn't we be able to use some of those if we were to need to move forward with
Yes,
this?
we can, and I have those figures. I
Okay.
just wanted to give clarity that we're kind of moving from one fund to the other when this meeting was created basically to talk about what was going on in the water area. But if you want to know the bank balances for the general fund, unrestricted is $16,529,034.43. And the restricted amount is $3,280,458.17 for a total of $19,809,492.60. Now, to get the total amount for the city as a whole, you would have to add the $19,809,492.60 plus the $2,468,882.57. I'm just going to take a stab at it, round it off, and say that's probably about $22 million.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions? Okay, the final thing that I want to talk about, and I'll do that pretty quickly. Nobody probably wants to talk about this amount anyway. When you start talking about rate increases, kind of turns people off. But to be able to run the water system day to day and to continue to do capital improvements on a regular basis, you have to have the revenue to be able to do it. And the revenue comes from the customers to be able to support those operations. In 2013, we had a revenue stabilization study done at that time, and it showed that we were, in 2013, that we were 60% off from what the city should have been charging at that time. There's no politician in their right mind that's going to propose a 60% increase unless they don't want to be in office the next term. So what the council decided to do was to bite it off in small chunks, which was 10% for, started in 2013, 2014, but it was supposed to be a 10% increase up until 2022, and then it would go to 3%, kind of level off at 3%. However, after the 2016 rate increase, the city has not experienced an increase since 2016, which means that we're about 6 years behind. I'm not saying that we're going to have a rate increase, so please put this disclaimer on the video. I'm not saying that we're going to have a rate increase, but I am saying to be a good steward of what we've been entrusted to or with, and to make sure that the proper revenue is coming into the city. It's only being a good financial manager to make sure that your rates are in line with what they should be, to be able to provide enough funding to do the day-to-day operations there, but as well as to build in enough cushion to be able to do capital improvements. So then we won't be doing capital improvements sporadically. We will be doing them on a consistent basis because we will have the funding, the revenue stream to be able to do that. Jared, can you tell me when was the last time we did capital improvements to the water system? I know you proposed the plan that was adopted in March, but when you were putting that information together, do you remember the last time the city actually did some capital improvements to the system?
I think there was some material involved in 2010, with some funding that was, went to the market, got, but that material, some of that material was never put in. We actually still have that material over there at the shop that we're putting it down. So that was, it's been a long time.
Okay. Well, I know we have to start our council meeting at 6 o'clock. It is actually 6 o'clock. So I will ask that we adjourn this meeting, and if there are any other questions when we get to the regular council meeting, I can pick up from there and finish talking about this rate stabilization.
May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion adjourned.
Second. All in favor?
I.
Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.
Does anybody need to take a moment? Good to keep
Yes.
rolling?
Just
Okay,
a few minutes to compose.
all right. We'll get started here momentarily. Thank you. Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Must have left my phone in the back.
Just let me know when they get settled, and then you'll let them. We're going to go ahead and get started. We'll let them finish their thought. All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Councilman Cuellar, if you would please open us up.
Yes. Almighty God and Father, we are gathered here this evening to conduct the business of the city. But before we begin, Lord, we want to take time to thank you for the many blessings that you bestow upon our city and that you bestow upon each and every one of us. We remember those that cannot be here with us this evening, especially those who may be struggling with infirmities. We ask that you help them and bring them to expeditious recoveries. We also ask for your guidance as we make decisions this evening. Lord, grant us wisdom in all that we do in the best interest of our beloved community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilwoman Cuellar. That being said, roll call. Councilwoman Cuellar,
Here.
Councilman Box,
I'm present.
and myself present. Councilman London is not with us this evening. First order of business would be the approval of the minutes. We have 3 separate minutes to approve, so we'll go ahead and take them one by one. Can someone move on approval for the minutes for the June 18th meeting?
I make a motion that the minutes for June 18th, 2021 be approved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Can someone go ahead and move on the July 6th minutes?
I'll make a motion that the minutes for July 6, 2021 be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then finally, could someone move on the July 7th minutes?
I make a motion that the minutes for July 7th, 2021 be approved.
Motion. We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. In regards to the bills, could we go ahead and get a motion for the payment of the current bills?
I make a motion that we pay the bills at $386,154.32.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Now we find ourselves looking for any professional or consultant reports. Do we have any of our professionals or consultants with us this evening? Thank you. Next up, Mayor, feel free to, you have the floor for your report, and if you would like to continue your thought line, please feel free to do so.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to work in the other direction. We have Senator Coleman that is here with us tonight, and she has to get the choir rehearsal. But she wants to bring some greetings to the city of Irondale, which is fantastic. So I'm going to ask Senator Coleman if she would come down and share with us why she's here visiting with the city tonight.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. I want to thank you all for allowing me to come before you. As you all know, the Jefferson County delegation of the state of Alabama set up what we call our community service grants, which has allowed us to do great things to help the cities and our communities. We've helped fire departments, we've helped police departments. We typically get in touch with leadership of the cities to find out what are the needs. The last time I think donations went, well, always the libraries, they're on my list every year, so the library was getting money before we had this. But last year we gave money to the Senior Citizen Center, and there may be other needs that you all have that we can identify. It could be parks or some things, or it could be a project that you're trying to work on. And so this money helps us with those particular things that you've identified and maybe kind of fall short, or it could serve as a seed money to get grants. But this money, let me just give you a brief history of where this money came from. If you remember when we had the money for the schools, the 1 cent sales tax for the schools, and we paid out all the money for the schools have been paid for, but Jefferson County was continuing to collect that money. But the only thing they could do with that money was for schools, and so all the schools had been paid out. And they wanted to use the money, and so they had to come back to the legislature to get approval. So what we decided to do, rather than giving all of that money to Jefferson County, we decided to set up carve out of that a community service grants for the legislators, because every year when we get money from the state out of the budget, it's hard to get money in for cities because you have to already be in the line item. And so as I told them, if we don't get money to help our cities, I don't see, how we're gonna be able to do that. So this money allows us to do it. The best thing about it, members of the council and the mayor, is the fact that this money comes every year. And so every year, we'll be coming back for you all, to hear your requests and things, to find out what we can do. We always help schools, and that's where most of the money from the grants money that we've been getting in the past. But this allows us to do some things for cities. And so it gives me great honor to present a check to the city of Irondale for $20,000. And I think, the mayor wanna start something with the community. Mayor, you wanna come on? And tell them about this? And if I can get a photo, somebody do. Okay, thank you.
When I first realized that the city was going to get some money, I thought I was dreaming, because I looked at my phone, which everybody who knows me very well, I very seldom look at my phone, do what I'm supposed to do with my phone. And I rolled over on a Sunday night, and it says, "This is Linda Coleman. I have $20,000 for you." I was like, wow, it must be a God somewhere, some angels that are smiling on the city of Irondale. So I followed up with her, and I told her that what we would do here, Fire Chief Josh McDaniel wanted to start the Fire Explorer program again. So we're gonna take half of the money and we're gonna start the Fire Explorer program. And the other part of it, we're going to take it to be able to invest in our neighborhoods. We are going to create what is called a Citizen Engagement Institute, and we're going to begin to teach our neighborhoods and teach the people in the neighborhoods how local government work. So we won't allow Facebook to be the voice of the city, but we will be able to teach people how to be, why public works do what they do, or how the funding is set up in the city, and all of those different things. And just to give people an opportunity to interact with the department heads. So that's what we're going to do with the $20,000 that she's giving us tonight. We are delighted to be able to have it. And since she said it's reoccurring, that sounds even better. Okay, all right, yeah, we want that real check. Give it to Lou, Miss Coleman. No, I'm sorry. I know it's in good hands with Lou. We'll give it to Jared and Josh, because they every time they show up in the office, they're spending something.
Let's get the council in.
And also, I want Lou to be a part of this picture, because even though I'm standing here and I'm sharing the information, she was the one that actually wrote the grant. So I want to thank her.
Over here by this wire. Watch out for that.
Can you see her?
Is it straight?
Drop it a little bit.
Okay.
There,
Has been down a little bit.
yes.
You got it? Okay.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
I keep this one, and y'all keep the real one.
Thank you, sir. Okay, thank you. I'm going to make one more announcement, just because I don't feel like sitting down and going through the report and have to get back up and do it all over again. But when I became mayor, there was an exciting project that was going on here in the city. The city hasn't had a grocery store since 2007. And when I came in, I thought that I was going to immediately be able to announce in January that we were going to have a grocery store. And then we went to February, and they told me that we were going to have a grocery store. And I finally said that I would not tell you the name of the grocery store until the paperwork and everything was signed. And my thing that I shared with everybody, that within 15 days, I'll be able to tell you who is going to be the store that's coming to the city of Irondale. So my story was every time somebody would ask me, I would say 15 days. And they said, 15 days from what? I said, 15 days from the 15 days that I just told you there was going to be 15 days. Well, finally, the developer has signed the letter of intent with the grocery store, and they have closed on all 4 parcels. So you all are the first ones to be able to hear what is going to be the new grocery store in the city of Irondale. So my marketing director, who is Christian, came up with this idea of how I'm supposed to present it. So you know how when the athletes are sitting at the table with their parents and they're getting ready to sign their scholarship, and they have like 6 or 7 hats that are on the table, and they kind of play around with the hats, and then they finally put the hat on their head to the school that they were going to. Well, I don't have 7 hats because we didn't have 7 grocery stores, but I do have 1 hat to be able to put on my head to allow you to know who is coming to the city of Irondale. Do we have a drum beat? Drum roll? And the story is... I guess because I have a large head, but Publix is coming to the city of Irondale. So they've closed on the property, they've signed the letter of intent, they're doing all of their engineering, working through all the logistics. Councilor Coyer, I mentioned at the last council meeting that the attorney said that they would start breaking ground sometime during October. And I want to say that they're projected to open in the spring of 2023. So you do not have to guess anymore about who's coming to the city of Irondale, but the name of the grocery store is Publix. And now, Council President, I'll just go through my report, my mayor's report.
Please.
And if you all have any additional questions about the RSE, we could discuss it at the end of the report. First of all, I want to thank everyone for celebrating my birthday on July the 8th. The senior activity had an event for me, and I went up there, and they sung happy birthday to me, Stevie Wonder style. And then I came here to City Hall, and our city clerk was detaining me in the back and wouldn't let me leave. And I told her that I was getting ready to go home, and she walked out the office, and I was in the parking lot, and she came and got me. And I walked into the council chamber, and the employees were also celebrating my birthday here. So I've had a lot of things for my birthday. My 50th birthday was fantastic. My 53rd birthday was great, but I was totally shocked and really appreciate what you all did for me on my 57th birthday. So I just wanted to say thank you. Also, on July the 9th, we blessed our transporter here in the front of City Hall. And up until this point, according to our fire chief, they've made about 56. He wouldn't give the stats to me, so he kept them.
Well, I had another number on.
Oh, okay. He tried to make me remember them.
So this data is from Monday the 12th, when the day we started till this past Monday. We had a total of 59 calls during that period. We had 36 medical calls. 21 of them were transported by us. 3 were transported by Cabo Valley, and 1 by RPS. So it's the first couple of days were a little slow. I think they were letting us break in a little slowly and easily, but we had a few days that were pretty busy. So they've done a great job, and we're learning as we go on some things, but it's going really well, and it's just everyone at the department is just excited to be able to to offer this to our citizens and to be a part of it. So,
Nice.
Okay. On July the 12th through the 16th, I had an opportunity to go to Auburn University and go through the Auburn Intensive Economic Development Conference. It was very intensive, 5 days of learning about how to be able to do economic development in your city. I was very encouraged to come back here because I know that for the 22 years that I've been involved, we've never had one individual or an economic development department. And that's one of the things that I would like to work on in the next few years to bring that to fruition here in the city of Irondale. One of the things that I learned that was, I didn't know it because we spend so much time trying to recruit new development to the city. But through this course, I learned that 80% of new development that comes to a city comes through existing businesses, which means that we need to begin to spend more time with the existing businesses that we have here in the city, instead of always putting all of our energy trying to bring in brand new businesses. So that was eye-opening to me. On yesterday, we had a Blueprint Irondale Advisory Board meeting at the police substation. It was fantastic. There were about 30 people, citizens in attendance. They had an opportunity to be able to hear the survey results and also the 3 areas that Blueprint Irondale is going to focus on, which is Grants Mill Station, the 459 area, and Crestwood Boulevard. On tomorrow morning, we're having the mayor's monthly prayer breakfast at Brookview Wesleyan Church at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. It's open to the public, so you do not have to be a pastor if you want to attend this prayer meeting. But if you feel called, led, or have a word that will be encouraging and uplifting and moving the city of Irondale forward, we ask that you would come to that meeting. On Friday, July the 23rd in Beacon Park, we're having an event called Screen Scene at Beacon Park. The showing of Toy Story 4 will begin at dusk, approximately 8:15 p.m. Arrive early to receive your free popcorn and snow cones before the show begins. Bring your blankets and chairs for a night of fun and enjoy the show. The entrance will be off the main road that is leading into the park. That's the only way that you will be able to get into the park. So do not try to come through Holiday Gardens through the side road, because the police will be stationed there to make sure that they send you around to the other entrance to come into the park. Then on July 24th, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., we're having Fun Day at the Tracks, and that is going to be meet your neighbors, mayor, steward, city councilors, city department heads, and Irondale school principals for a day of fellowship and fun in the front of City Hall. Enjoy a DJ, line dancing, food trucks, free to the first 50 at each truck, and more. There's also going to be a mural that's going to be created on the side of City Hall. There's going to be a t-shirt that's going to be given away for Irondale trivia questions. So if you know the history of Irondale, you may be able to win a free t-shirt. We also are going to practice social distancing, and if you have not been vaccinated, we encourage you to please wear a mask. On July the 31st, we're having the Bobby Joe Wilson backpack giveaway here at City Hall. It begins at 11 o'clock, and it will last until the last book backpack is given away. Church of the Highlands is going to participate with the city. Initially, I said that we would do 500 backpacks, but Church of the Highlands has stepped up, and they're going to do 500 backpacks, and the city's going to do 312, so we're going to be able to give out 812 backpacks, which will cover 3/4 of the children that live in the city of Irondale. Also, the message with the mayor is going to be August the 1st. We've moved the time from 6 p.m. to 3 p.m., and the individual that's going to be interviewing me is former city councilor Craig Sanderson. I promise you all I'm almost through. I'm just going to cover the finances of the city to just give you a quick overview. In the city general fund, as of June the 30th, we have $20,836,598.14. I'm sorry, this is the actual budgeted versus actual. The expenses is $15,298,638 $5,537,959.22 for a surplus of $5,537,959.92. In the water department, revenue actual is $1,668,665.56. Expenses is $964,476 for a surplus of $704,189.10. The bank balances for the general fund unrestricted is $16,529,3443. Restricted is $3,280,458.17 for a total of $19,809,492.60. And in the water department, we have unrestricted $2,383,246.50. Restricted is $85,636 for a grand total of $2,468,882.57. If you add both of those bank balances together, the city approximately has, as of today, about $22 million in the bank. So I feel that we are doing very well as a municipality. Were there any other questions about what we were covering during the water department meeting before I turn it back over to Council President Spivey?
I did not have any. Councilman Box?
I'm good.
I'm
Councilwoman
good
Fair?
also.
Okay. All right, Council President, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your report. All right, so now we look for any department head reports. I know Chief McDaniel, you kind of just gave us a report. I didn't know if there was anything you wanted to add to that. I know we have, okay, you do want to?
I just want to add one thing.
Okay, please, sir.
The second part that I didn't mention during the transport was we were able to actually do something that everyone else has been doing for us over the last at least 6, 7, 8 months is we were able to help Trustful Fire and provide a transport for them when they needed one. They had like
Right.
6 calls going on at one time and reached out to us, and so we were able to help them and pay back some of the times that they've helped us. So that was a great thing to be able to do as well. The other thing is, I'm not sure if you saw it on our Facebook, last week we taught a Rope One rescue class between us and Leeds Fire Department, and we had instructors from our department and their department. Really cool. At the end of the week, we had the state troopers came out with their helicopters, and we had victims on roofs of the train car and in the tower that they had out there, and they actually were, the state lifted them off there and flew them around and brought them back down, but it's all part of that. I know we had a lot of questions about the helicopter and why we didn't tell. We already had some spectators, but with that going on, we didn't want to let everybody know, so we had a bunch of people we're trying to keep back from helicopter flying low like that. But that was very cool to be able to do. We had 23 students. We had some from Boaz in all different areas, not just Irondale and Leeds. So that was a Alabama Fire College class. And not one that a lot of people teach out in the field, because you have to have that tower that we got from the fire college to do that. So that was a big deal. So just wanted to kind of report that. And if you haven't seen it, there's some cool video on our Facebook page.
Thank you, sir. Any other department heads that would like to provide a report this evening? You're good? All right, fair enough. That being said, Councilwoman Cuellar, your report, please, ma'am.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Mayor Stewart updated you on our water committee information that he gave us in regard to the finances of our water department. Things are looking very good there. I also wanted to thank Lou for putting on our agenda, which items were unbudgeted, which is very good and very helpful. I'd also like to request that we list the dollar amounts for items where the council is going to be making decisions on. If you could kindly list the dollar amounts, that would be very helpful, not only to the council members, to our residents as well. And lastly, I'd like to ask if we can have a Public Works Committee meeting to discuss our recycling. Council President Spivey has noted that our contaminated recycling is up to 33%, has been over the last few months. And so I'd like to ask if we can have a Public Works Committee meeting to discuss the various ways that we can communicate our recycling program to our residents and discuss ways to ensure that our Public Works team is following our recycling policies when they collect recycling as a means of lowering our contaminated recycling. So if the council can let me know what day would be convenient for us to have a meeting, that would be great.
Are you trying to book that right now? Or just get
I
together
know Councilman
offline?
Box, you're gonna be out next week, is that correct?
That's correct.
So perhaps the second week, maybe we could have it before our council meeting. You could do that, the schedule for August the 4th.
That being said, I know this was something, I don't mean to, I'll, if I may.
Yes,
It's your report.
absolutely.
I had asked Mayor about see if Frank could provide some of that information to us. I know Frank wasn't able to join us tonight, but I believe, Mayor, you were prepared to deliver some information at some point in time here in the near future. Is that correct?
Yes, we've been researching what's going on in recycling here at City of Irondale. Also, I've been to Florence to look at their recycling program. I've been to Huntsville to review their recycling program. And we have one more trip left, well, two more, Auburn and Tuscaloosa, because those are some of the top programs in the state of Alabama. And my thing is, there's no need of us reinventing the wheel about how to be able to deal with it. I know one of the problems we have is that the little blue bins that we have are currently outdated, and we need to move to a larger container, maybe a 65-gallon or something that's similar to the trash can that we have. Because the problem that we're having is that I actually one morning on a Monday rode around through District 3 after some of the complaints just to see exactly, why are people complaining about, the contamination rate and what's going on. The problem is that most of the things that are, the number one item that's being recycled is cardboard. And you can't put the cardboard in those little tubs with no top and expect that if it rains, it's not going to get wet. So that's really the issue, is educating our people about how to break the boxes down, how to tear them up. Maybe you need to get you a bin that has a lid on it. I'm going to work through the State Department. They have a program, hopefully, where we can get a grant to be able to get free trash cans that are larger so that people can actually tear the cardboard up, drop it in there, put the top down. And if you do that, you won't have to worry about if it's going to rain or if it's not going to rain, because it has a lid on it. I said all that to say that we do have a plan that we would like to unveil, probably within the next 30 to 45 days, but if you all would like to have an emergency meeting before that to deal with some of the issues, I'm okay with that too.
Understood. Councilwoman Cuellar,
Yeah, one of the
timing.
things that, because I have received phone calls and emails on this issue, and one of the things that was suggested, and maybe we can put it in the newsletter that you send out, Mayor Stewart, about using our old trash cans that we were using for garbage pickup, using those, because those have lids, to put your recycling. This way it doesn't get wet and it's not contaminated. It'll cut the contamination down. If we could communicate that to our residents, that our Public Works Department will pick that, put it out when you do on Mondays, and they can pick it up, that would be a means to lower some of that contamination. So if we could put that in a newsletter, I think that would help.
Yes, well, Miss Ann's sitting out there. She's already crafted and drafted a document that she sent on Tuesday, and I just got back into office on Wednesday. But Ms. Ann, I'll definitely read your document and to see how we can integrate it into the website to be able to educate people about it, and then to find a means, like you said, maybe to put it in the monthly newsletter to go out. Or maybe we'll just do a separate newsletter that's about educating the citizens how to be able to recycle.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Councilman Box?
Yeah, good evening, everyone, again. The mayor and Councilwoman Cuellar kind of covered many things before I get to it. I have had the opportunity to meet with some of our wonderful citizens this week outside of my district, and it was a pleasure. I won't name any names at this point in time, but the amount of talent we have in our city is amazing, and it's encouraging to look forward to working with individuals, not only in my district, but other districts as well. I have also been mentioned Chief Wiggins is going to have what he calls a cop stop in Hampton Place neighborhood. That's being scheduled for sometime in August. He's supposed to finalize that with their neighborhood association president. And he's put that out that any of the other neighborhoods, not only in District 4, but in the rest of the city that would like to have that. It's a way of engagement between our law enforcement officers and the citizens of the community so that they can come out there. The community thinks it's a barbecue, but Chief said, well, it's more like we're gonna grill hot dogs and some hamburgers, but at least we'll be there meeting and greeting and talking to the people. And I'm just glad everybody's come and covering a lot of things. Good to hear about the water department and seeing the city on some good financial ground. So with that, I'll pass it to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Basically, I was going to kind of piggyback a little bit on the recycling thing. So thank you, Councilwoman Cuellar and Mayor, for bringing that up. And Ms. Ann, thank you very much for the flyer that you drew up. I look forward to the progress that we might be able to make, hopefully with that program. I look forward to seeing everyone this weekend with the events on Friday and Saturday night. Friday and Saturday night. So looking forward to just some fun time, just to hang out and get to know our neighbors. And then finally, my condolences to the police department. If you didn't know about it, Officer Pike, that was our dog. He succumbed to his. I guess he had a medical condition of some sort. I'm not privy to what it was, but I know that that's a very thick brotherhood and sisterhood. And when any officer falls, be it a canine or a human, it's felt very hard. I know that dog was Officer Pike was surplused a few months back, and he retired to his home of his handler. And I remember something I was talking to the previous police chief about, and he was like, that officer, because it was Tolliver, wasn't it Tolliver?
Yes.
Yeah, Officer Tolliver was the handler, and the former police chief always said Officer Tolliver treated that dog better than most humans. So there was definitely a love there between Officer Tolliver and Officer Pike. So just my condolences to the police department on the loss of that officer. That concludes my report. Thank you. That being said, now we find ourselves looking for any reports of boards or non-council committees. Any boards or non-council committees? Okay. That being said, we do have a public hearing that we need to move into before we get into any council deliberation. So that being said, on this public hearing, notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the City Council to hear comments from interested citizens concerning the proposed rezoning of the property located at 4750 Overton Road, Irondale, Alabama 35210, from R2 Residential District to C2 Commercial District. This property is owned by Scott Deaton. And I asked Butch. Butch is our planning and zoning guy, and I asked him what this is in reference to. And let me just pull that up real quick so I can just give a little bit of context, and then we'll move into any comments for or against. The zoning case is one where they have two lots. One is already commercial, and the other is R2. As P&Z passed this recommendation on a unanimous yes vote. Several other properties in that area are zoned C2 and C1 in that area. So there's a lot of stuff zoned like that already. So that being said, I'm looking for any comments in favor of the rezoning. Come on up, sir. And do you have your form filled out for Ms. Lou? Just state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
It's Scott Deaton.
Outstanding.
But just to make it accurate, I'm the agent that's selling the property, the real
Gotcha.
estate agent.
My apologies.
I'm on behalf of MS Properties.
Perfect.
So may I give you all these?
Absolutely, please. Thank you. It had been since May since we reviewed the case, and I was trying to remember the details.
So as you stated, as you notice on the front page, you'll see all the C1 zonings coming up to their C1 zoning. Their C1 zoning is the one that has the little red arrow and just a little scratch mark there, but C1's on top. And then you have 3 R2s consecutively, and then you have a C2, and then you have Mitchell's Place. So what we've had 2 offers on the property. And before, like I had one offer, it was an alarm company, and they wanted a, like a office warehouse, and it was all indoors. The same thing with another company called Vidra, I think many of y'all are familiar with. Same thing, they needed office warehouse. So what Butch told me was, he said, y'all already got the C1 zoning. He said, so that would cover the warehouse. So just, get the C2 zoning, and that would be in compliance, with office and warehouse. So that's really all we're trying to do. And on your second page that you have is a survey. And on the survey, it shows you the 2 lots. That residence that it shows on the survey is vacant. It is boarded up. So it's not, currently being used as residential. And, but it's essential for both parcels to be together to make that work.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other comments in favor for this rezoning? Okay. That being said, any comments against this rezoning? So we had 1 for and 1 against. Councilwoman Cuellar, do you have any questions
Yeah,
for the agent?
Yes, I had just one question. I did go by the property to take a look at it, and I saw the boarded house that you were referring to. And I noticed that, and I did try to stop by there, and I was going to ask if there were any public folks that came, residents that live by there that came to the P and Z meeting. But the folks that live at 4760, I stopped by there and knocked, but there was no one there. And just wondering, have you had any discussions with them about it?
No, ma'am, I have.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Councilman Box?
No, I'm good on that.
I'm good as well.
You answered my question.
Thank you very much. So since we've heard for the fors and the against, and we have our questions satisfied, I would go ahead and say that we go ahead and move out of our public hearing. I'm sorry, one in favor, 0 against. I apologize. Thank you, Lou. That being said, now we're looking into council deliberation on agenda items only. We are playing a little bit around with our structure of our agenda as far as how we divide our items. So I apologize ahead of time if I mess this up too bad, but I'm going to do my best. Ms. April, thank you for your coaching thus far. All right, so our first item, this would be our consent agenda. That item number 1, Resolution 2021 R76, authorizes Mayor James D. Stewart Jr. to execute an agreement with the Alabama Power Company for the placement of additional streetlights. Councilman Box, this is your item. Would you like to introduce it?
Absolutely. Just making a motion. What all do I need to share with you on?
Just, I know that I received the supporting documentation. I did the math, so I know I know it's a 36-month contract.
That's correct.
You've got an estimation of the monthly expenses unless Alabama Power changes their pricing or something like that. I believe, sorry, sir?
The cost was nominal.
The cost was nominal. I was going to ask, my only question to you is your funding source. I had a feeling I knew what it was, but I didn't know.
It's actually coming, I guess, through the general fund.
It's coming through the general
Is
fund?
that correct, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, we had some requests back when I first took office for streetlights in this area. It does fit the requirements, I'll call it. That's kind of, as Director Pennington labeled it, that's kind of a loose terminology for it, but there has to be a transformer within a certain amount of feet. There has to not be another streetlight too much closer. And then the definition of these streetlights are actually Alabama Power streetlights on the power poles owned by Alabama Power, and not the neighborhood little decorative lighting. And so with that said, it met all of that. It's a nominal expense for the city, and so I worked that out to present it to the council.
Okay.
So I would make a motion that we move forward with that.
Councilwoman Cuellar, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Okay, and you've answered mine, so thank you very much. Would we agree to continue to keep this item on the consent agenda?
Yes.
That's a yes for Councilwoman Cuellar, a yes for Councilman Box, and a yes myself. Okay. So item number 1 stays on the consent agenda. Item number 2, Resolution 2021 R77 authorizes the execution of a service agreement with the Exceptional Foundation. Mayor, do you care to talk a little bit about the Exceptional Foundation and
Yes, the Exceptional Foundation actually is a nonprofit organization. They enhance the lives of individuals that have disabilities. The city has always supported the Exceptional Foundation because there are individuals that live in the city of Irondale that goes to that event, there for services. They usually ask for funding from all 37 municipalities that are in Jefferson County. They actually send me a letter to let me know how many people they deal with special needs. There are 700 individuals with special needs and over 50 municipalities in the greater Birmingham area that participates in this program, which of 24 resides in the city of Irondale. So this is something that the city has always funded, and the funding mechanism for this is coming out of the mayor's discretionary fund.
Thank you, sir. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention some of the other agenda items that we passed at our last council item. Those various service agreements with multiple organizations were also coming out of your discretionary fund. So thank you for dipping in and supporting those organizations like you have.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Councilwoman Cuellar, any questions? This is coming out of the mayor's discretionary fund. He's just putting this on here for transparency purposes.
Yeah, no questions. He
Councilman
covered
Box?
it all.
No, that's
Okay.
great. I think that's awesome.
Thank you. That being said, could we all agree to continue to keep this on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cuellar, Councilman Box?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Thank you. Item number 3, Resolution 2021 R78 authorizes the execution of a service agreement with the Exchange Club of Irondale. Once again, Mayor, if you would like to talk us through that for just a moment.
Okay, yes, the Exchange Club has been around the city of Irondale, or we could say John Shones has been around the city of Irondale as long as Irondale seemed like been in existence. But the Exchange Club have always done things in the city of Irondale, but their real big thing is Americanism. And all of the flags that you see going up and down Highway 78, those are basically purchased and maintained by the Exchange Club. And they also provide other services. When we did the food giveaway, they were a conduit to purchase the turkeys that we gave away to the citizens during that food giveaway that we were having during that time. So that's why I thought that it was only befitting that we would support the Exchange Club, and this is another agreement with the funding coming out of the mayor's discretionary fund.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Cuellar, any questions on that?
No, I just want to commend the Exchange Club. They do a lot of good things for the city of Irondale. We also had one of their members that was Santa Claus at Christmas at the Caboose. And so they do a lot of good work in Irondale, and I'm glad that we're going to be supporting them.
Councilman Box?
Well, ditto Councilwoman Cuellar, and thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
And myself, no questions there. So Councilwoman Cuellar, could we keep this on the consent
Yes.
agenda? Councilman Box?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay. Now we move on to the items on our regular agenda, which one would be the ordinance 2021 2021 ordinance 2021 that would rezone the property. We've had our conversations on that, so we'll go ahead and vote on that one when we come to it. Resolution 2021 R79 authorizes the mayor, authorizes the purchase of fire equipment from Municipal Emergency Services. And Fire Chief McDaniel, you have this on the agenda, and it is listed as unbudgeted. So if you would like to come forward and please kind of walk us through this item, sir.
Yeah, this purchase is for the PPE turnout gear that the new employees will wear that we've hired for the transport unit.
Gotcha. And since that was obviously a sudden thing, this was something you did not obviously budget when you were crafting your budget for this year.
Correct. Well, and it would have been a capital expenditure as well, because it would have been over the amount that we would normally put in operating for that, so yeah.
So funding source would be the general budget, basically, for this? That's the
Correct.
agreement y'all have come to? Okay. Councilwoman Cuellar, any questions on this?
No, but just for the benefit of our audience, it's a little under $11,000, so that you know what the amount is.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Box?
No, that covered everything there.
Okay, and since this next item is yours as well, Resolution 2021 R80 authorizes the purchase of fire equipment from Sunbelt Fire. So once again, on that one.
Correct. Same thing. This is just the SCBA, the mask that they would wear with their air packs.
Okay.
It's just a different vendor, so there was two different quotes on that, so.
Gotcha. Councilwoman Quayle?
And again, just for information purposes, we're talking about a little under $5,500. And as the chief noted, it is for our EMS transport folks, and it's something that they need.
Councilman Box?
No question.
And I have no questions either. Thank you very much,
Thank
Chief
you.
McDaniel. I appreciate you. All right, so we've gone through our consent agenda, and we have gone through our regular agenda. That being said, I would ask for approval of the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the agendas as presented.
Yep. Thank you very much. And we have a motion and a second?
Second?
All right, and all in favor?
Aye.
Legal, did I walk through that? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. That being said, at this time, we would be looking for any public comments on agenda items only. This would cover any of the agenda items that we just walked through other than the rezoning. We have no public comments on agenda items. Fair enough. That being said, does anybody have the language for the ordinance? Do I have the cheat sheet handy?
I do.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman. If you would like to take us through the process, ma'am.
I make a motion that ordinance 2021-13 be considered read.
May we have a second? A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, ma'am?
Did you vote on the consent agenda? You did not, did you?
We voted on once we confirmed everything on the consent agenda, we voted on the agenda as a whole.
And then you would need to take a separate vote on all consent agenda items,
Okay, gotcha.
like, as in one.
Can we finish this one first and then go back to that? Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you, legal. All right, that being said, ma'am, if you would take us through the second portion?
I make a motion that we suspend all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration of ordinance 2021-13.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
And myself, yes. And finally, ma'am?
I make a motion that ordinance 2021-13 be approved and adopted.
We have a motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. That being said, just to circle back around to our to our consent agenda. So our consent agenda had item number 1, number 2, and number 3. That being said, do I need to take them one at a time? Okay. That being said, our consent agenda with item 1, 2, and 3. Councilwoman Cuellar, are you in favor?
Yes.
For those items being on consent?
Yes.
Okay.
I just make a motion that items number 1, 2, and 3 be approved.
Thank you. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We good? Cool, thank you. Just trying to change up the process. Once we get this down, it will flow much better. It's just a little bit of a learning curve up here as far as how we're redoing our agenda, so thanks for sticking with us, and thank you for our guidance. All right, that being said, we have our ordinance carries. Item number 2, if someone could make a motion for item number 2.
I'll make a motion that resolution 2021 R79 authorizing the purchase of fire equipment from municipal emergency services be approved.
We have a motion, we have a
Second.
second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
As this is an unbudgeted item, you would need to have a first and a second reading.
Okay, so treat both of them as
As
an
an
ordinance.
ordinance.
Okay.
Okay.
I knew it had to be unanimous. Okay. All right, Councilwoman Cuellar, if you do the pleasure of treating these resolutions as an ordinance.
I make a motion that resolution 2021-R79 be considered read.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, ma'am?
I make a motion that we suspend all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration of resolution 2021-R79.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
And myself, yes. And finally?
I make a motion that resolution 2021-R79 be approved and adopted.
We have a motion? Do we?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. That motion, that resolution carries. Ma'am, if you'd be nice enough to take us through our third and final item.
Yes. I make a motion that ordinance 2021-R-80 be considered read.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion that we suspend all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration of Resolution 2021-R-80.
Second.
All right. Councilman Quayle?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
And myself, yes. And finally?
I make a motion that Resolution 2021-R-80 be approved and adopted.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. That carries. At this time, we're at the end of our agenda. We would be looking for any public comments on non-agenda items.
Stephen Moreno, 3743 Main Trace Drive. If I understood correctly, I think you've resolved the issue I wanted to mention. Y'all will be voting on consent items as part of the regular agenda. So public would have a chance to comment before they were consented, if that makes sense.
By all means.
Yeah.
We're just trying, and
Okay,
if we do not
thank you.
agree,
That's a good
yeah.
change, and I think it needs to be there.
Right.
And just another quick comment, under our new rules of engagement, we no longer have to break from regular council session to go into public hearing and then leave that public hearing and go back into council session. I noticed we didn't do that tonight. I haven't picked up on that in my regular listening.
Gotcha. I know,
Just a
I know
question.
we did, yeah, understood.
That was precedent before.
Okay.
All right. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for
Noted.
that other change.
All right.
Sir.
Any other comments on non-agenda items? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Frida Williams, and I'm in the community service group in Holiday Gardens. And Mrs. Fallon and I would go through the neighborhood, and we picked out some spots that are really, really bad. And one house is on Terry Lane off of Cornell Drive, and the car has no tag. It's a red car. It has no tag, and the grass is growing. Also, there's another house, Terry and Goldmar, and the ivy is just growing everywhere. It's even on the electrical wires going out of the house. And there's different spots where the trash needs to be collected. You know, it's been there, and it's really an eyesore. So we just wanted to bring you up to date on some of the things that we do. And you're welcome to come to our meetings.
Thank you.
It's the second Tuesday of each month, if we ever get back in.
Our clerk recorded those addresses and your concerns, and she'll get them to the mayor. Thank you, ma'am. And then if you could, oh, you okay? Any other comments on any non-agenda items? All right. That being said, I would take, we have to move into an executive session at this time. Once this executive session is concluded, we will return to the chamber to end the meeting. So take a motion for executive session.
I make a motion that we leave our council meeting to go into executive session.
All in favor? All right. Thank you.
And this executive session would be concerning a matter of actual trade and commerce.
Thank you. All right. This is the last item, and then once we come back, we're going to call for an adjournment. So if you would like to stick around, by all means, be our guest. But we will be coming back into the chamber strictly to adjourn the meeting. All right. Thank you very much for coming out and spending your time with us this evening.